Welcome to the fifth lesson in this series. I hope that by now you have found a friend and someone who speaks Spanish so that person can correct you and help guide you along the way. And I also hope that you have planned a trip to a Spanish speaking country so that you can immerse yourself in the culture and all of that, as these are foolproof ways of learning the language and perfecting your craft. In today's lesson, we're going to be talking about possessive adjectives. We will also be looking at some other irregular verbs as we get ready to move away from the present tense and tackle the past tense. We're also going to look at a schedule and talk about someone's schedule using many of the verbs and the vocabulary words we've covered thus far. Empecemos. All right. So in inglés, los adjetivos posesivos son my, your, his, her, its, our y their. En español, my se dice mi. Your, informal, the to form, se dice tú. But this tú does not have an accent. The tú that has an accent is the you, the subject pronoun, right? You live in Mexico, for example. That tú vives en Mexico, would require an accent, but the possessive adjective does not have an accent. His se dice su, también her, its, y you, usted, right? The usted form is su, and these are possessive adjectives. For our, se dice nuestro or nuestra. And as you can see, there is a masculine form and there is a feminine form. For your, de vosotros, we say vuestro or vuestra. And there's also a masculine and feminine form here. And for their or your in the plural, for example, if I'm speaking to my students and I say, for your homework, this is what I want you to do. That is the you plural, you all, right? So that is su as a possessive adjective. Entonces tenemos mi, tú, su, nuestro o nuestra, vuestro o vuestra y su. So if I wish to say my school is called Excelsior, for example, I would say mi escuela se llama Excelsior. My school, mi escuela. The possessive adjectives can also be pluralized. So if I wish to say my schools, then I would say mis escuelas. All right. Similarly, if I wanted to say his dogs, then the possessive adjective for his in Spanish is su, but because the dogs is plural, then I would also need to pluralize the possessive adjective, and therefore I would end up with sus perros. Okay? All right, we're going to do some practice with the possessive adjectives. We have here her son, her son. And if we go back to this slide, we see that the way to say her in Spanish is su. So then we just need the Spanish for son, we combine them, and we end up with her son. So the Spanish for her son is su hijo. If we were saying her sons, then we would say sus hijos. And this is a distinction between English and Spanish, because in English, we don't pluralize the possessive adjectives, but in Spanish, we absolutely do. Número dos dice his car. En español se dice su carro, su carro. And again, his cars would be sus carros. Número tres, its color, its color. En español se dice su color, su color. Número cuatro, our house. Eso sería nuestra casa. If we go back again, we see that there's nuestro, which is masculine, and nuestra, which is feminine. So because casa is feminine and most nouns in Spanish that end with A are feminine. And notice I said most, not all. We will talk more about that in a future lesson. So because casa is feminine, then we have to say nuestra casa. Número 5, our cars, our cars. Y en este caso diríamos nuestros carros, nuestros carros. Y número 6, your names, and this is the you plural, your names. Eso sería sus nombres, sus nombres. Entonces, una vez más, los adjetivos posesivos en español son mi, tú, su, nuestro o nuestra, vuestro o vuestra, y su.
Today's featured country is Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a beautiful country with a population of just over 5 million people. An interesting fact about Costa Rica is that it does not have a national army. It also has 5 active volcanoes. And if you visit Costa Rica and hear people repeating the phrase pura vida, don't be surprised. It's just an expression which means life is just for living. Enjoy it.
Bueno, continuemos con otros verbos comunes que son irregulares. And some people on YouTube will say don't be intentional about learning grammar, but take it from me, be intentional. You need to know what the various verbs look like in their various forms so you can truly grow and truly understand what you're reading or hearing for that matter. So these verbs, they have an irregular yo form, but the rest of them would be considered regular. Let's take, for example, dar, which means to give. The yo form is doy, I give, doy. But everything else is regular. It's like a regular AR verb. So you have das, da, damos, dais, dan, but that first person form is doy, I give. Then with hacer, which is another super important verb in Spanish, which it means to do or to make, the first person form is hago, hago, and then the rest of it is regular. Haces, hace, hacemos, etc. Saber, to know, first person, sé, with an accent on the I. So to say, I know the truth, yo sé la verdad, I know the truth. Salir, to leave or go out, the first person form is salgo, salgo. And then poner, to put, the first person form is pongo, yo pongo. And for ver, the first person form is yo veo, yo veo. Now, these two at the bottom are completely irregular. Decir means to say or tell and is conjugated digo, dices, dice, decimos, decís, dicen. Ir, completely irregular. Boy, I mean, there's no V in ir, so this one is super irregular. Voy, yo voy, tú vas, él, ella, usted va, nosotros vamos, vosotros vais, ellos, ellas, ustedes van. Okay. So please commit these to memory, take notes and review them. Don't overly focus on grammar, but you do need to know what these verbs look like. So now we're looking at Sarah's schedule. Sarah works 4 days per week, and we're going to be talking about her schedule using certain adverbs of frequency like always and never, etc. Right? So for the adverbs of frequency, they often go before the verb. Sometimes they can go at the end. It all depends on the purpose you're trying to accomplish. So, podemos decir que Sara desayuna a las 8 todos los días. Sarah has breakfast at 8 o'clock every day based on this schedule, okay? Pero los lunes y los martes Sara estudia para su examen de álgebra a las 9 de la mañana. Los miércoles y los jueves, ella prepara el almuerzo para sus padres. A las 10 de la mañana, Sara viaja a Miami para una reunión con su jefe. Okay? So we can say Sara siempre desayuna a las 8 de la mañana. Sara nunca duerme después del desayuno. Sara nunca duerme después del desayuno. Okay? Y podemos decir también que Sara siempre viaja a Miami para una reunión con su jefe. So Sarah always travels to Miami for a meeting with her boss based on the outline of her schedule from Monday to Thursday. I hope you found this lesson helpful. Remember, study a couple of words per day. Duolingo, it's actually pretty good. It can be a little bit controversial as well, but I know people who've gotten excellent results using it. So make sure you're doing something every day and you will see your Spanish soar in no time. Thank you all and see you in the next lesson.